Hi everybody, welcome to my humble homestead and gardenside chat. In this video, we will be discussing spending the holidays alone. Being the family scapegoat, I hope to provide some validation, acknowledgement, support, and help with this. What is it like being the family scapegoat? I have experienced this for years, and even while being in contact with them, holidays were always a challenge if I was included. They were tense and isolating. And many of them I've experienced the loneliness of spending them by myself. So this family scapegoat is rejected, neglected, ostracized by the parents and others in the family unit. Often we find ourselves in low or no contact with the family, and it's just too painful to be around these people. But even though we're not around them, it doesn't lessen the pain to be spending Christmas without them. If this is you, you are not alone. There are many people that come from dysfunctional families and are unable to treat each other with respect, where there is chaos and bullying taking place. Lots of people experience extreme parenting bullying, whether emotional or verbal. You are not alone with a sense of dread as the holiday season approaches and all of the triggers that associate with that. The main trigger we experience as a family scapegoat and spending the holidays alone is grief. If we have not gone through and experienced grief and all the layers that go with that, that is the time that it really tends to crop up. Unprocessed grief really does trigger, especially on at these holiday times. The feelings that come along with that are rejection, confusion, injustice, pain, abandonment, hurt, heartbreak, and shame. And as a child, we didn't do anything wrong, but those are the painful feelings that we tend to associate with Christmas and the grief, the loss that we had and have still today if it hasn't been processed and dealt with. Many people may turn to addictions and bad habits and things if they haven't dealt with those complex layers of grief, especially during these holiday times. So it's really good to acknowledge, find some sort of support or help. You know, a lot of times there just really isn't support or help for this type of loneliness or pain or feeling. We tend to not know where to turn or who to turn to. So that's really one of the reasons why I'm doing this video. You know, we want to kind of realize that we're not alone in this. We're not isolated. These might be the feelings that are creeping up at the time. So it is important to validate these feelings, and it does make sense if we haven't received good and proper support. It is important to understand there is a great level of grief that comes with being the scapegoat and all the decades of severe bullying, mind games, rejection, and brainwashing that we've experienced and been exposed to. This grief is very complex. It takes many years to heal from it, which is why it can crop up during the holiday season, and especially at this time of year when there's so much focus on family. And it really is important to remember that it is not your fault. Without good support, we are left feeling unsupported, and we do not know how to deal with the pain. When we look around and we see all the pictures of the perfect family and the Christmas trees and the fireplaces and the food, that can be reminders of things that we don't have and that what we long for. It can also bring a sense of loss and what we do not receive in our own families. It does tend to trigger a lost childhood, what we missed out on, and lost family members. And it can also bring up the fantasy that we create and that we need to protect and minimize the abuse that we've experienced and the attacks. We have to tell ourselves it's not that bad. They didn't really mean it. They don't understand. They were abused as a child. I'm being too sensitive. It's my fault. The more we heal, then the more we see the level of dysfunction in our family and in our family history. I mean, this goes back generations. So it's something that's not new. It's just we are trying to heal from it ourselves. And all these things can come up during this time of the year because we're feeling them now and we just don't really have the support, we feel very isolated. So this is the big struggle we deal with. And as humans, we need that social interaction. And sense of being and belonging is like it's a core need for us. When we don't have that, we feel cut off from the world. It's just part of who we are. We feel cut off and isolated. So dealing with these feelings are super important. If you can compartmentalize the grief, put it in a box. The levels and that grief, just put it in a box during this time. Say, tell yourself, yes, it is very real. I feel that. I know it's there. We are grieving family members who are still alive, grieving that fantasy that we created to survive, grieving that it was our fault, that we are to blame, grieving a childhood that we never got to live, grieving the parents that we didn't have. We were emotionally the parents. We either raised ourselves. I know, like, I raised myself, and I know I emotionally had to be the parent. So we have to grieve all of that as well. And grieving all the lost connections and grieving the ability to be ourselves or be our authentic selves, be who we were supposed to be. Because of the amount of trauma that we experienced, there's this false persona that was created. So we weren't even really allowed to be who we were to be. So it's important to grieve that. We weren't allowed to just be a child, to be who we were to be. So it's important to grieve that and to realize that it was not your fault. It was not, what you went through. So just grieve that, compartmentalize it, put it in a box, experience that, just let it be. As you see, the grief of being the scapegoat is super complex. And if in the season we can just acknowledge all that grief is there, and then in the new year, we can intentionally start to heal from it. In reality, when we have unprocessed grief, it's so painful. And that pain is just manifested and it comes out in other ways. It can come out in illnesses, it can come out in addiction, it can come out in weight. For this getting through this holiday season, we compartmentalize it, I'm trying to say that word, and we put it in the box. We know it's there, but then we're going to intentionally know that, coming this new year, I am going to go through those stages of grief. I'm going to deal with it, and it's going to be a part of my healing. Part of that healing from the inside. This is all, as you see, it's all coming full circle. So if you look at all the pieces of my channel, I know it seems like, where is this coming from? But we have gardening because we're growing our food. We're trying to eat healthy. We're trying to save money. We're cooking. We're doing herbs because we can grow our herbs and be healthy. We're doing the mental health because we have these issues from the inner child and from the, when we were young, and dealing with these things because we are healing mind, soul, body, and spirit all the way around, because we were created to be a whole person who God intended us to be. That is the goal, to be healed from the inside out, who we were born to be happy and whole. And we can be that person. We can be. But you know what? We need to really realize that we are born in this imperfect world. There are things that are going on and we have to deal with them. They're there. And honestly, there's a lot of shame that comes with this. I mean, I know I love the idea of Christmas, the fantasy. I love Christmas. I love the holidays. You can see I like doing DIY stuff. I mean, yes, I have my grandkids. I love that. But there is reality to it. There's a lot of reality to all of this in my life that also brings shame, sadness, depression. And these are things that I am dealing with as well, that I want to bring to you to help you as well. I don't want to be isolated. I don't want you to feel isolated. Matter of fact, if any of you are feeling this way, I don't want others to feel that way. Just even in the comment, just put where around the world you're from. Just put that so others don't feel so isolated as well, and just realize, you know what? You're not alone. So instead of succumbing to the grief during the holidays, it's understanding that that grief is there. There are a lot of things that I haven't processed yet, but I am going to intentionally this coming year start working on this. I'm going to really start getting those layers of grief and dealing with them. I'm going to prioritize it. I'm going to make it a priority. I'm going to make it a plan. And knowing that there are such complex layers, it's not, if you look at everything, all of it at once, it is overwhelming. But make a plan. Figure out, okay, I need some support with this. Step by step, what can we do? I will seek help and support. So we just want to make our healing from the inside out a priority. Make yourself a priority and take this grief in little pieces, just bite-sized pieces. Don't be overwhelmed with it, because if you take it in one big, it's going to blow up in your face. So one little bite at a time. How do you eat an elephant? So, although I don't think I'd ever eat an elephant. I love them. They just seem so sweet. So, but just have a plan and do it one step at a time. And then for Christmas, for the day or the holiday, whatever day you spend, I spend Christmas, let's do something empowering for ourselves. Plan on like you're having a really special guest, have your favorite food, maybe put out some candles, and then do whatever your favorite things to do. Watch your favorite movie. I mean, just don't plan on doing your housework or whatever, but is there an art project you like to do? Is there a book you want to read that you haven't been reading? You want to just have a long soak in the tub, whatever it is, and just make that special effort. Whatever, if you want to bake something special for yourself, just do it. I mean, be that special guest for yourself and make that effort. Just empower yourself. Just make it a special holiday. Celebrate with yourself and just really focus on what is the real meaning of Christmas anyway. But to empower yourself, show yourself that you are worth it. You are worth it to go that extra, do that little extra something for yourself, whatever it is on that holiday. What it does is it sends a message to yourself. It sends a message to that inner child that can counter all of that pain, all of those negative feelings that have built up, and it can balance that pain and heartbreak. It does help to change the neural pathways for dread for that day. So if you're planning something special, you're empowering yourself and you're removing the dread. And then remember that the family that you're grieving and you're missing, they're dysfunctional. If you might be sad and you might be picturing them all together, really, instead of looking at that fantasy and the childhood visions that you're missing, kind of put it into perspective as an adult and look at the dysfunction and the pain and the things that you constant bullying and putting down and the sarcasm and the jokes that you were the brunt of, and those, view it as that, and then you'll realize that that's what you're missing. You're not missing the vision that you want it to be. Yes, you can grieve that because that's what you want, but that's not what you're missing. Look forward to something empowering. Make it special for yourself. Don't keep it in a negative light. That's not what's the reality is. And with a dysfunctional family, you have to realize they're not on the same path that we are right now, because we value healthy relationships. We value healthy connections. We value authenticity. We value honesty. We value happiness. We value respect towards other beings. So these are the things that we look in towards relationships for other people and connections, the connections that we want in our lives. These are what we want to be around, what we want to surround ourselves with. You're not missing out. You're not missing out. Put yourself first and do something kind for yourself that day. And then along with all of that, we can look forward and empower ourselves for the next holiday year. So you're not focusing on dread. So for me, I'm already planning what I'm going to do for next year so that I can can focus at being something positive. I'm saving up to do something and, planning for it because I want it to be something exciting and fun and not a lonely, sad, depressed you know what I mean? I don't want to dread it. So that's what I'm doing. So if you start now and look at it, there's something that you've always wanted to do, like if you've always wanted to take a trip or something, just save for it or plan for it. Or if there's something that you wanted to purchase, for yourself, and you're like, I would never do that, maybe start a little savings for it and see, or just start a savings period. Or if there's something you want to make, just put it on that goal. So those are, just great thoughts to maybe have a plan so it's a positive experience, not dread. And in doing this and in focusing, it's really important to start discovering what brings you joy. What do you like to do? Try to find things that make you happy. Surround yourself with people that build you up. If you're around people that when you leave, you just feel grouchy, you don't feel right, you don't feel like yourself, those are not the people that you want to be around and that you want to be your friends. So surround yourself around people that build you up. Find things that make you happy. Art is really, I started doing different crafts, and I mean, even like a diamond painting, or I'm not super artistic. I just do it because it is kind of self-care, and I started planning because my friend was like, she's like, that's my self-care. Just little things. Try to do little things to help yourself that are therapeutic. If you like to cook, if you like to garden, whatever you like to do, just find things that bring you joy. Let's continue to heal from the inside out. That is the goal here. No matter what we do, heal from the inside out. Okay, thanks so much for watching, you guys. Please like, share, leave a comment in the below, and have a great and wonderful Christmas. Be blessed. Bye.